This is Hannah, and the whole deal is you had a brain tumor. So let's start from the beginning and tell everybody about this. Whenever you're ready, you jump on it. So tell us how you found out that you had a brain tumor and everything that has happened in the past.
I was asleep one night with my brother, and he was in my room watching TV. Yeah. And I don't know, I woke up in the middle of the night, and my head was hurting really bad. And I rolled off the bed, and my brother says, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "My head hurts, just go get Mama." And he said, "Why? What do you want?" I said, "Just go get Mama." So by the time she got in there, I guess I had thrown up on the floor, and I was rolling around, and she said that my eyes were rolling back. And we went to Wake Med, and they said I had a bleed on my brain, and they didn't say anything else. So they shipped me to Duke and told me they diagnosed me with a brain tumor.
All right, so Daddy, how old was she when this all happened?
She was 7. It was Super Bowl Sunday, February 3rd, 2008. And we had just gone uptown. We're Craigslist shoppers.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are. And we had just gone and gotten her it was new to her. It was a whole new bedroom suite. You know, we had just redecorated her room, remodeled everything. And she was so excited. She was so happy when she went to bed that night. And we had no idea the nightmare we were going to wake up to just later on in the evening towards Super Bowl Sunday morning.
So, a lot of times, many doctors don't have a lot of bedside manner, but when you're there and you find out that your baby they just come out, you know, they have a brain tumor. It doesn't even, I think, really filter into your brain for days and days and days down the road, right?
We were numb.
Yeah.
Actually, Dr. Jerry Grant was the guy, the genius, who actually let us know. He was the one that came out and said it. You know, he looked me right in my eye. He said, "Mr. McFarland," he said, "your daughter has a brain tumor." And after that, you know, it was like I had been hit in the face by Tyson.
Yeah.
You know, I shut down after that. I turned my back to him. I said, "Don't tell me, tell them." At the time, my mother and my wife were in the room, so he actually turned to them and told them. I went and put my face in the corner.
Yeah.
And I felt like an ostrich.
So they said that they're going to have to do surgery or radiation or chemo. What did they decide they had to do?
What they had to do first, they had to calm it down. And what they did to calm it down, they gave her really high doses of steroids. And he said, you know, we're going to give her these steroids, and then in 24 hours, we're going to see what it looks like, and then we'll go from there. And that's exactly what he did. Yeah. So she was on high rounds of steroids to calm it down, to slow the bleeding, to get it manageable to where they could actually go in and look and see what they had to deal with, and then it just went from there.
Yeah. And they, when they came back out, can you remember, because these words are so long, I can't, but did they give you a grade of what the tumor was, or a type of tumor, or how?
She was diagnosed with an anaplastic ependymoma, and it was a stage 3 at the time.
Yeah.
And you're a big guy, and so as a father, what is it like? You're a big guy, but
I felt helpless.
it broke you down.
Yeah,
to see
it
your
did.
little
I
girl
cried
be
like
sick.
a little girl. I believe I was the only one in the room that did cry.
Yeah.
You know, it's my baby, and she's a girl. It's my youngest child, and it's my little girl. So,
Is the first thing, even when she was so young, did you start thinking about wedding dances?
yes.
And her going to the prom for the first
I thought
time?
about all that.
Isn't that crazy? The
I
first
did.
time.
I did. I thought about all that. I thought that. I mean, it's funny when you get into a life-threatening situation yourself. It seems like your life passes before your eyes, where everything slows down and it stops when it's one of your children.
Yeah.
It's like you're in limbo. You don't know what to do.
So after the surgery, then what did she have to go through after the surgery?
She had to go through about 33 rounds of radiation, and it was a daily thing. It was 5 days a week. We had to go to what was the name of that place? The actual center where she got the MRIs. And we had to go to a couple of different places. We had to see 2 or 3 different types of doctors on a regular basis. But the radiation, it didn't last very long, but it was very taxing on her. The first 15, 20 rounds, she handled them okay. But towards the end, you know, she was starting to get fatigued. She was getting a little frustrated. She was tired of it. She was ready for it to all be done.
Yeah.
And, you know.
So were y'all, right? Yeah, I know. So that was a long time ago, and now you probably only have to go what? You go once a year.
Yeah, it's
Check
once
out.
a year.
And
It's actually once every 6 months.
Oh yeah, now
He moved it to you.
they
Yeah,
moved.
it started out frequently, and then he spaced it out.
Yeah. So if you've never had an MRI, maybe you don't know this, but it is the most taxing, because they do it with contrast, right? So me too. So they do it with contrast, and then so that means you have to have an IV, and then usually, for kids, I'm not sure, but I know for me it takes like 45 minutes by the time you're in there in this little hole. They zip you in there, and unfortunately, a lot of these kids, from the first time they had to have an MRI, they had to get sedated. They're so now used to having these MRIs that you don't have to do that, and it's sad because if you're listening right now, odds are you've never had an MRI, or if you did, you had one maybe on your foot. That takes only seconds. They put your legs in first, but if you have a brain tumor MRI, you're all the way up in that thing, and it sucks. And then you got IVs. Who likes needles to begin with? But then you get that done and now how old are you, beautiful?
12. I'm 12 years old.
Golly, she doesn't look 12, does she?
She's so
Oh my
pretty.
God, Daddy, you're in so much trouble.
I know.
I know.
I've been told on multiple occasions that I need to buy a gun.
Yeah, that's good.
And I've had people come up to me and say, how's your daughter? I'm like 12. I'm like, really? I thought she was 15.
Right.
I'm
Thanks
like,
for
no,
that.
she's not.
I know.
Now, Mama, what is it like for you every time she gets a cold or anytime anything happens? Because y'all been through so much as a family.
Initially, for me, it was, you always think about, oh God, what is it? What is it? Is it coming back? Or, but as time goes on, it does get a little bit easier. It's always in the back of your mind, though, always.
But it changed y'all's priorities as a family and what was important.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We've always been a close knit family anyway. But when this happened, the five of us, we're like inseparable. The children still have their arguments and stuff like that, but we really know, what it means to go through something like this and know what's important. Things that used to be, very important and near the end of the world are very minute now.
Yeah. Things that matter, things that don't, right?
And guys, call right now because we need those phones ringing. 1-866-975-CURE. That's 1-866-975-2873.
We're talking to the McFarland family, and Daddy, tell us, so somebody's in their truck, they're working today, and they're listening to this, and they go, man, why should I give my hard-earned money to this group of people that are trying, but like, I don't have a kid with brain tumor. What would you say to them? Why is that?
I would say to them, you might not have a child with a brain tumor, but you know somebody that does. There's a statistic going around that says either 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 people is going to have to deal with or know somebody that has to deal with some type of cancer. And the cancer has lost the shock factor that it had 40, 50 years ago. But it's still just as bad, and there's more of them now, and it's more important now than ever because of all the things that we have to go through environmentally and all the things that are being put in the food. Chances are somebody that you know is going to end up having to fight this deadly disease, and you can't do it alone. Nobody, unless you're in the top 2 or 3%, is equipped financially to go through a bout with cancer alone. And what I would say to you is, look inside yourself and say, what if I have to deal with something like this? What if somebody in my family has to deal with something like this? I'm the type of person where I like to pay it forward. You always want to pay it forward. You want to have something in the bank as far as morally or spiritually that you can lean on when you come into a troubled situation. And that's what I would say to people that feel like they have no ties to cancer and what it can do to people, especially pediatric cancer, because pediatric cancer is the worst. I understand that people have an affinity or a sensitivity to children and older folks. But I see it like this. An older person has lived their whole life. That's how you become old. Mm-hmm. You live a long time. But a child doesn't even begin to live their lives until they reach a certain age. You don't know who you are until you're in your 20s. And my daughter was 7 years old when she was diagnosed with this deadly disease. From that day forward, she could have been non-existent. She could have died that night at home on the bedroom floor, seizing. whispering under her breath that she wanted to die. She could have died that night, but she didn't. And it's because of the people that have donated, the people that have taken time out of their busy schedules, to have had a heart to do something like this, that she's here now. Maybe 10 or 15 years ago, the research wasn't there to help her type of cancer. But because of the people that donate, it was, and she's here today to talk about it.
And beautiful as ever.
She's
So,
so pretty.
How long, is this your second year or third year that you've been coming up in here?
Second.
The day before you had Thanksgiving. So
And your voice has changed too since last year. Wow, you're like a real woman up in his piece.
Please stop saying that.
Ah, stop it.
But she's off limit to the guys.
That's right.